Welcome back. Laura, you are very passionate about health and well-being. And you mentioned earlier that your parents had gone through, your mom had gone through chronic fatigue. And this is something that's very, very common here in Australia. What do you think is causing it, and what are some of the tips that we can give to people out there who have chronic fatigue?
I think, firstly, there's a big misconception that it's all up here. I think for so long, my mum's had it, well, that was 20 years ago.
Yes.
So most people didn't even know what chronic fatigue was. We did 3 months worth of testing with the doctors, trying to work out what was going on. And it wasn't until she got to a naturopath and they did iridology to find out that she did have chronic fatigue, and then started on a journey and things like that of attempting to get her health right. Yes. And she got it to a certain point, but still she wasn't 100% well. So a lovely lady shared some beautiful products with her that said, look, I don't know if they're going to help you, but they've helped so many other people. Yes. So she started on taking some supplements, which for us, we'd never even heard of supplements. We come off a farm.
You're eating healthy.
Eating healthy, meat and 3 veg, So we grew up with that. And we thought everything was fine. What are these supplements? What do they do? And why do we need them? We get everything from what we fruit and veg.
Yes, yeah.
So we didn't get that understanding. And then when we started exploring the avenue, and my mum had a positive reaction that night. She started taking some of these supplements, and she had this beautiful surge of energy. At 2 a.m. in the morning, she wanted to vacuum the carpets, and we don't have carpets. So, and that doesn't happen for everyone, but her body was so depleted that it responded quite well. Yeah. So little do we know, a lot of people go on a journey where they just think this is the norm. Obviously my dad got sick first with his 2 discs were rubbing against each other, so he's flat on his back for 3 months. Yeah, and from there my mum stepped up. Obviously I'm one of 3 children. She stepped up doing that, plus also running the farm, and eventually she
gets burnt out, because that's a lot of physical work, and then as well as the mental side of looking after a spouse who's in a lot of pain. That's a lot of work. Yeah. So the supplements plus healthy eating.
Yeah, well, I guess the naturopath took it on the journey of reducing, yeast and dairy and things like that. So starting to create that healthy lifestyle. Yes. So the lady that we met also talked about, as we were talking about before, is your personal care products, and that's where that lovely little toxin guy came in. And we started to explore why every time Mum opened the dishwasher, that off-gassing smell would take her breath away. Yeah. Which we'd never thought about before. And why, what we were rubbing on our body may have the smells, the perfumes that we were using. All those little things that's like a little dot to dot. Yeah. It started leading into maybe these are the things why we got sick.
Us to get sick, yes. Yeah. But they're everywhere, like cleaning products, like you're saying, from the dishwasher to, mopping, clothing detergents. It's all over. And
it's a little bit scary. Like when we started to uncover this, we were like, why isn't the government doing something about this? It's, so I guess it's up to us, and that's where that health prevention comes. So I went, okay, we need to actively, one by one family at a time, do something about this and start to educate people. And so as long as we're aware of what's going on, we could make those changes. Yes. Like I said, the home's probably the most toxic. Yes. So if we start there bit by bit, making small changes, don't make it overwhelming. Bit by bit, make it, I stopped wearing perfume.
Detoxing your house in a way.
Yeah. And our body's like our temple. And when it's not healthy, it's going to send you little messages. Yeah. And Oprah does this quite well. Starts off with little pebbles. So we start bit by bit. And then we get a rock. And then we get a brick.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you can't get out of bed one day.
Yeah, because you've been hit by a train.
Pretty much. And you think, how did you get there? And someone once said to my mum, this is a blessing in disguise. Yeah. She thought, how is this a blessing? I can't get out of bed. But it had led her onto the journey to where she is now. Exactly. you know, we sold the farm that was quite toxic, you know, and we did all this, and they've led on a beautiful journey now of helping so many people along the way.
Yeah, and your mum looks quite young as well, because she's doing really well.
She is. Now, and takes you, it's always refreshing to go back to where they came, you know. There was little signs along the way that she probably didn't listen to. And I think as mums, we need to actually honour ourselves first and make sure we are looking after ourselves. So often we put everyone else first. One of the things in the Healthy Children's Healthy Families I created was a mummy moment 5 or a mummy daddy 5, because
oh wow, yes, yeah. So what's that? Yeah,
it literally is taking 5 minutes to yourself a day.
Is 5 minutes enough? Does that include sitting in the bath, in a bubble bath with a glass of wine?
Believe it or not, I did that a few nights ago.
But it's important to do that.
It is and 5 minutes doesn't sound like enough. But some mums and some dads don't even schedule 5 minutes into them. So I started that, and if you can do 5 minutes, it's like meditating. Someone says you've got to do 20 minutes of it, all seems too much. But start with 5 minutes. Taking yourself outside, getting some vitamin D, and just honouring yourself for that 5 minutes. I said to some people, I said, even if you need to lock yourself in the toilet for that 5 minutes, make sure the kids are safe, but lock yourself in the toilet and just have that beautiful, So if you can get that beautiful bath, 20 minutes in the bath, and do that, put the kids to bed and take that time for yourself, because it's if you can do that, and every Friday night I sit down and watch a DVD or a movie, and that's my reward time to just relax and do that, to refuel myself for that. So definitely looking after yourself first before you help everyone else.
Yes, and it comes back to what you're teaching your daughter about having her cup full, because you can't share a cup that's half empty. No. So it's always important to look after yourself, like you were saying last time. Put your oxygen mask on before you help others.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is really wonderful.
Yeah.
So with your group. Do you have like meetups? How can people find you? And how does it work?
Yeah, so it's a Facebook group called Healthy Children's Healthy Families. Yeah. And obviously you can request access to that. So it's even including if you're a grandparent, we welcome you in also, because obviously you're passionate about your grandchildren too, and making a healthy lifestyle for them too, because so many parents obviously need the support of their grandparents. Unfortunately, mine are in India and Victoria. Yes. So I rely on my beautiful, my friends, and a very supportive family daycare to help, and that's my network, to make sure that I can have that time out and things like that. So in that group, yes, we have just started off doing some meetups. Our first one's coming up this Monday. We're going to the zoo. We've got some apple picking coming up, and I think that's really just about bringing
the community
together and getting out of the house. Sometimes we can trap ourselves in there and it can get quite lonely. Unfortunately, that's where depression and things like that kicks in.
Very true, yeah, because you find most parents, especially when they're new parents, there's so much isolation. Yeah, so if they can join into the trip, going to the zoo, and that makes huge difference.
Absolutely.
Getting mental health.
Mental health is so important. I think a lot of people, it's not talked about.
I think it's because of the stigma attached to it,
Yeah, so I think, and also mums feel that if they speak up that maybe they're not coping so well, they won't look like that super mum that can do everything.
But we can't be super mums, and it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, and I think that's the message we're starting to get out, that it is okay to do that, and we don't need to be that, and especially if, for mums that, I hear a lot of mums say that I'm just a mum. And it really, for me, that's something that I like to take away. You're a wonderful mum. It's a full-time, 24 hours, 7 days a week that you don't actually get paid for. That's very true. Most people would never sign up for that job if they knew. So it's definitely honouring yourself for who you are and taking that time out, and definitely connecting with like-minded people that can help you out.
What are you reading at the moment?
I bought a few things. So these are just a couple of books, but I read by the mood that I'm in.
Okay.
So I have a pile of books out like this, another pile in the cupboard. So depending on what mood and what inspiration I want for the day, and that's where I pull a lot of my Facebook lives from the books that I read and the people I surround myself with. because they're very inspiring. So Eat That Frog.
Brian Tracy.
Yeah, really, really catchy. Yeah. But it's all about procrastination. And we're so, like, lots of people procrastinate over so many things. And one of the things that I share with a lot of people is 20 seconds of courage.
Yes.
Is literally just breathe in, breathe out, 20 seconds, just go do it. Yeah. And it's amazing what you can achieve.
It's very true.
But a lot of people miss out on those opportunities because they never cross that line.
Exactly.
So I guess the procrastination is, 21 ways to stop procrastinating and get more done. Yes. If we can stop that, you've got so many potential and opportunities out there. So I love this book.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Laura, for the inspiring conversation.
Can do. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come along.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. My name is Nkandu Belt, and I'll see you next week.